Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, I am teacher Dean of Actions Language Online. How are you, Sandy?
Fine, it's okay.
It's fine. Okay. So before that, since this is our first class together, may I introduce myself? I'm
Mm-hmm.
teacher Dean of Actions Language Online once again, and I'm an English teacher by profession. I like music and reading, and I have already taught English for 3 years. How about you? Can you tell me something about yourself?
My name is Sandy, and I work as I'm an administration assistant, and my job is about Chinese herbal. I always maybe do some experiment, like test the ingredient inside the maybe Chinese herbal or some product. And I like watching television and playing basketball.
Oh, you play basketball.
Yes.
Wow,
Mm,
that's
but
interesting.
mm-hmm.
But
but uh, that was my when I study in the college. I played basketball maybe from Monday to Friday, but now I don't play basketball seldom.
so you mean that you are one of the varsity players during your college days?
I don't understand.
Oh, I mean, you play for your school, like you are.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's great. You have mentioned earlier that you are like an expert in Chinese medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Can I ask you something?
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think is the best medicine for fever?
Mm, I'm I'm not doing that kind of research.
Oh, just the ingredients for
Yeah,
Chinese
not
medicine.
about the clinical.
Oh, I see. So you're more on the chemical part, but
Yeah,
not
maybe
mhm,
maybe the chemical.
the chemical. Okay, but how about you? What do you usually do when, for example, someone in your family gets high fever or cold?
Mm, you mean maybe I'll I'll ask them to see the doctor.
Oh, you will see the doctor. Okay, so that's
Yes,
the
yes.
best thing, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I prefer the medicine, not Chinese herbal.
Oh, okay. So you prefer modern medicine rather than Chinese medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anyway, your job is very interesting and your interests also. Okay, so it's nice to meet you, and I hope that we will have a great time in our classes, okay? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Okay. I didn't hear you for quite a while. Okay.
Okay.
So it's now clear. Now, are you ready for our class today?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I can see that you already have opened the book. So what you will do is to just follow the cursor. As you can see, there is the cursor where I am in the page. So what you will do along the duration of the class is to follow that, so that you can, or you will know where you will read or where you will answer questions. Okay, so we are now in the unit 1 of our MLB4 class. So that is, or expect that in the unit 1 we will be talking about communication. So we will be, or the skills that you will know is about dealing with communication breakdown, and the grammar will focus on learning about the idioms. Okay? Okay, so let us turn into, let us turn into page 3. Can you see this picture of communication?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we will have the first unit, communication. So the overview says that we will be learning about vocabulary, about good communicators, listening, improving communications, reading, internal communication, language review, idioms, skills, dealing with communication breakdown. Also, if you will have more time, you can have the case study below. Okay, so in this picture you can see that there is a little quote by Ludwig Wittgenstein, an Austrian philosopher. So can you read that quote there?
Everything that can be said clearly.
Yes, so everything can be said clearly. Okay, so what are your thoughts about that quote?
I think it's right, because everything that can be said, because the thing can be said, it's not easy to talking about. So if that can be said, we can say that clearly.
Yes, I think I got you, and I think we have the same idea about that. I think that it's all about having good communication. So if you can say it right, then that is clear. Okay, so everything that you can say, or you can use communication so that you can say what your message is clearly. Okay? Okay, so that's right. Thank you for answering my question earlier. So this time, let us have the starting up part. Can you see the starting up part?
Yes.
Okay, so we have here a question. What makes a good communicator? So there are a lot of factors here. Just choose the 3 important factors. So I will let you read the following factors below. Okay, so let's start with the first bullet.
Fluency in the language.
Fluency in the language. Very good. How about the next one?
An extensive vocabulary.
So that would be an extensive vocabulary. How about this one?
Being a good listener.
Being a good listener. Next?
Physical appearance.
Physical appearance. And how about this one?
A sense of humor.
Sense of humor. Next?
Grammatical accuracy.
Grammatical accuracy. Next?
Not being afraid of making a mistake.
Okay, so not being afraid. That word is afraid.
Afraid.
Of making a mistake. Okay, so I will just note them down. Okay, so we have not being afraid of making a mistake. Okay. Okay, so can you read this phrase again?
Not being afraid of making a mistake.
Okay, so not being afraid of making a mistake. How about the next one?
An awareness of body language.
An awareness of body language. Okay, so thank you for reading those factors that are being described or being given in this list. So I will give you time to choose what are the 3 important or most important factors in being a good communicator. What do you think?
I think being a good listener, fluency in the language, and grammatical accuracy are the 3 most important factors.
Okay, so being a good listener, what is that again?
Fluency in the language.
And
grammatical accuracy.
Thank you for repeating your answer. Okay, so this time, why did he say that it should be being a good listener, fluency in the language, and grammatical accuracy that makes you a good communicator?
Because I think a good communicator, first you need to listen to people what they say, so you can respond or answer their questions or opinions clearly.
Okay, so you can respond or answer to their opinions clearly. So you should listen very carefully to them, to what they are saying, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so why fluency in the language?
Because I think if I cannot speak fluency in the language, maybe the one who talks to me maybe lose her passion.
Yes, or maybe he will lose or she will lose her passion, or she will not be able to have interest with what you are with what you are saying, right? Maybe they will get bored because you're not fluent about what you are telling them or with the language that you are using to them, right? Right. Okay, so what about grammatical accuracy? So why should you be correct when it comes to grammar?
Could you speak again?
Okay, so why do you think that you should be accurate or you should be right when it comes to the grammar of the language that you are using?
Because I think if I use the wrong grammar, maybe it will lead to misunderstanding.
Yes, okay, so sometimes there are languages that if you have mistake or if you commit mistakes in the grammar, the meaning will not be the same as to what you are trying to tell them. Okay, so maybe that the meaning will be changed into a bad meaning or an insult to them. Okay, so grammar accuracy is an important factor also. So thank you very much for that. Now, your answers are being a good listener, fluency in the language, and grammatical accuracy. Okay, so this time, do you have any questions about the words that we have used in this 3 important factors?
The last one, an awareness of body language means.
Okay, so an awareness of body language. Okay, so what do you think is a body language?
Maybe when you talk, your hand or your body will help you.
Yes, okay. So you are aware of what your body or what your face is looking like when you are speaking. Okay, so sometimes there are people who use their body or their hands when it comes to speaking. Okay, so they use their hands pointing to the other or pointing towards any direction that they like when speaking. Or sometimes there are messages that are good in meaning, but it depends upon how the speaker have said it. For example, the message is good, but the tone of the voice and the facial expression doesn't match the message at all. So what you will do is you should have an awareness of the body language that you are using. Okay?
So it not means you are nervous.
Yes, also sometimes when you are nervous, that is also considered body language. For example, when someone shows that he or she is nervous, the hands are shaking, or maybe the eyes are looking to other directions. Okay, so that is also body language. So I think awareness here refers to the right use of our body language.
Right way.
Okay, so you should be aware when you are speaking to someone. You should be aware that the body language that you are using is appropriate to what you are telling them.
Okay.
Okay, because sometimes it is not just in words that we are communicating; it's also in the actions, right? Right.
How about the physical appearance?
Physical appearance, the way you look. Okay. Sometimes to other people, they do not talk to people that they don't like because for them maybe they are not pleasing in the eyes. Okay. For example, there are people who doesn't talk to or doesn't want to talk to beggars or street people. Okay, because to them, it is not appropriate, or they do not like talking to people who are at the streets. Okay, or maybe there are people who doesn't like to talk to people who are like having tattoos or a lot of tattoos. Okay, so sometimes there are people who look at the physical appearance before communicating. Okay, so I think, but for me, I think physical appearance doesn't really matter. Okay, how about you? Does it really matter to you?
I think it's okay.
It's just okay. Okay, so what else?
No.
Not. Okay, that's all. Okay, so I think all of these are important factors. So there are just factors that are most important, right? Like what you have said, being a good listener, fluency in the language, and grammatical accuracy. I like being a good listener. For me, that is also the number one factor that you should need to know in being a good communicator. Sometimes also fluency in the language, yes, it matters. An extensive vocabulary doesn't count that much. Okay, a good sense of humor too. Do you like a person who has a good sense of humor? Yes, okay. So there are a lot of things that matters most in communication. Okay. Okay, so just ask me any questions or just tell me if I'm going too fast, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so let us proceed to letter B. Can you see letter B?
Yes.
Okay, so what other factors are important in communication? So besides those factors that are being said in letter A, besides this one, the bullet or the bulleted phrases, what other factors do you think are important in communication?
Body language.
Mm-hmm.
Body language is for speak one's opinions clearly.
Okay, speaking.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and using some graphs or pictures to help us to express our thinking thought.
Mm-hmm. Oh, your message, right? Okay,
Yes.
so you can also use. Okay, let me put it in this way. Using graphs or visual aid to better understand the message, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so you're right. Speaking one's opinions clearly, it is important that you speak your opinion or tell your opinions clearly to someone so that they will understand. Also, for us to understand, especially when it comes to lectures, when it comes to reporting, sorry, excuse me, we use graphs and visual aids like table, line graph, okay, to represent the data, right?
Excuse me, what's the visual ad? It's a noun or verb?
Pardon? What's the video?
Visual ad. I mean, you write using graphs, visual. Ad,
This one. Visual aid.
Yes.
Okay, so visual aid. Okay, let me put the definition of the word visual aid. So when you say visual aid, it is something that is shown like a picture, a map, a film, for us to understand the information that is given.
So it's a phrase.
Okay. So it could be a picture, it could be film, or a video that is a visual aid.
Visual aid.
Okay. So visual aid is something that you use for you to convey the message clearly or the information clearly. For example, you want to tell them more about an eagle. So sometimes, eagle, for example. Okay, so you want to tell them more about the information of an eagle. So you choose, or you might want to put a picture of an eagle along with a description about the ego. Okay, so the picture there is an example of a visual aid. Okay? Okay, so do you have any questions?
No.
No questions. Okay, so your answers are right, speaking one's opinions clearly, using graphs or visual aid. Now this time, let us discuss these questions below. Let's go to the letter C. Are we going too fast?
No.
No. Okay. So let us discuss these questions. First, what forms of written and spoken communications can you think of besides emails and interviews?
I think it's hard.
It's hard. Okay, for example.
I just think about emails and interviews.
Okay, me too. Okay, written is the example of written is email. Example of spoken communication is
nowadays maybe Line or Facebook.
Oh, you mean social media?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Line. Okay, social media apps. Okay, or social media communication. Okay, let me just put it down. Like Line app, right? Line or Facebook. Okay, so that would be, what do you think will that be? Is that in the written or spoken communication?
Excuse me?
What do you think is social media communication? Will that be written or spoken?
Maybe both of them.
Yes, I agree. That is both of them. Why? Because you can chat, like type it down, type down the message. You can also speak through video calls or calls, right? Yes. Okay, what else? What other written and spoken communications can you think of besides emails, interviews, social media communication?
How about meeting?
Meeting. Okay, that's great. So in the meeting, you can have a discussion. So you have a communication between your colleagues or maybe with your boss, right?
So it's different from interviews?
Yes, interviews are being conducted one by one or one on one, okay, or maybe two on one, okay. But a meeting it could be one on one, but usually a meeting is a gathering of a group of people.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that is what is the difference between them. Okay.
Excuse me. I want to ask. What different from meeting, conference, or how about these two?
Meeting, conference, and
yes. Because sometimes I need to go to attend maybe like a conference. There has a speaker and talk about maybe a topic about Chinese herbal. But this kind of meeting or conference, I don't know how to call that. Call them.
Oh, I see. So when you are there a lot of people that you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says here. Let me just give you a definition. Okay, meeting. Let me first write your question. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the difference between meeting and conference, right? Okay, or you can say, what is the difference? So instead of using the word different, we can use the word difference of or between a meeting and a conference.
Is the difference between meeting and a conference?
Okay, so instead of using different, we can use difference. Okay.
So the first sentence is okay. The grammar.
I think not. So we can use the word difference. Okay. Okay. So anyway, that's just a little mistake. What is the difference between a meeting and a conference? So I will put the meanings of the words meeting and conference. Okay. Okay. So a meeting is an occasion when people come together, or at a time where people come together. While a conference is a time when you have a large formal meeting.
Occasion come together. Large formal meeting.
Okay. So can you read the meaning of the words meeting and conference?
Meeting, an occasion when people come together. Conference, a large formal meeting at which there are groups of talks on a particular subject, or a small private meeting for discussion of particular matter.
Okay, so a meeting, or what do you think is the difference between a meeting and a conference?
I think meeting, conference has a topic, but meeting doesn't have. It's not formal. Conference is formal than a meeting.
Okay, very good. So, conference is more formal than a meeting. Okay, although it is the same, see, a formal meeting. Okay, so it is the same, but the difference is that the conference or a conference is more formal than a meeting. Okay, although there are meetings that we held or hold in the office, right? But then it's where people can discuss more important things, like although it's not, or maybe sometimes it's formal, or most of the time it's formal, but there are meetings that would also require you to not be formal. Okay, but a conference really is a formal meeting. Mostly it comes with a large group of people. Okay, so they are just the same, but there are, our conference is just more formal. Okay. Okay, so are we clear with that? Or are there any questions that you want to ask?
Does any other sentences like meeting or conference?
You mean you want to find another meaning of meeting?
Maybe another word like them.
Oh, another word for meeting or another word for conference.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So there are, let me find, okay, yes. It says here that it is, for the word meeting is just meeting, but then most of the meanings here are focused on the word together or gathering. Okay, so let me just put here. Gathering. As for the conference, let me find a related word for that. Okay, it could be an event, a formal event. Let me find another one. Okay, so other words include formal meeting. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so is there any other questions that you want to ask? No questions. So this time let us proceed with our question number 2 in letter C. Can you see that one? Which of the above do you like using and why? Okay, so your answer is social media, communication, meeting. There are also emails and interviews. Which one do you like using and why?
I would prefer email.
Okay, you prefer email. Why do you like email?
Because you can use the email whenever you want. But if you want to have an interview, maybe you need to book some time.
Okay, so you.
But if it's too difficult, I think maybe it needs an interview.
Okay, if it's difficult, you want interview. How about social media?
Social media, I think it's okay if the distance is far and not easy to get together.
Okay.
But if but if we are in the same location, I think interview is okay.
Okay, interview is okay if you're in the same location. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay, but what is the means of communication that you often use?
Excuse me?
What is like the means of communication that you usually or normally use?
Communication. Communicate with other people, talk, listen and talk about your opinion, and find some and try to resolve the problem.
Okay, so I think from your answer you prefer to talk to people physically and not with the use of your phone, right? Okay, I mean, you like to talk to people personally, like you talk to them face to face rather than talking to them using your phone or Facebook.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you prefer more of the physical rather than using your social media communication. I like that.
Mm.
Okay. So let us have number 3. Okay. Because I have observed that people do a lot of talking when it comes to chatting, texting, and calling rather than talking face to face. Have you also observed that one?
Mm, I don't understand.
Okay. So I said that a lot of people use Facebook, a lot of people use Line, a lot of people use WeChat rather than talking face to someone, right? Yes. Okay. Let us proceed to number 3. What problems can people have with them? So what are the problems can people have when it comes to emails, interviews, or social media, or in a meeting? What do you think are the problems can people have with them?
I think communicating by email will take a lot of time to wait the reply.
Yes, okay, so it takes a lot of time to wait for a reply.
Mm-hmm.
How about for an interview?
Interview.
What do you think are the problems that can be encountered when it comes to interview?
Mm, maybe it's not easy to uh, book a time
It's
or a meeting room.
okay to book a time or an appointment, right?
Uh-huh. An appointment.
Okay. An appointment is like a schedule that you have for example, we will schedule an interview for you tomorrow. Maybe the person is not available, like that. Like that. Okay. How about in social media? What do you think will be the problem that you can encounter using Facebook or Line?
Maybe it's not formal.
Yes, it's not formal.
And sometimes you cannot talk your opinions clearly, or maybe sometimes we'll have misunderstanding.
Okay, clearly, and sometimes, okay, wait for a while. Sometimes there are miscommunications, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you cannot understand. Is that right?
Understand, maybe sometimes you cannot yes.
Okay, so sometimes you cannot understand. Okay, so that is the problem that will arise when you're using social media. Okay. How about okay, how about in a meeting? What do you think is the problem that you can encounter when using a meeting?
Sometimes it takes too much time.
Yes.
Waste time.
Yes, because there are some colleagues that would just suggest answers or suggestions that are not very helpful, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Sometimes it's a waste of time. Do you have colleagues like that?
Yeah, a little.
A little. Okay. So there are colleagues that are not helping too much when it comes to the meeting, right?
Yes, maybe they have no point.
Yes, no point. Okay, so it turns out that the meeting will not be finished in the right time, right? Okay,
Yes.
that's correct. So thank you for the things that you have answered in number 3. Now let us have the number 4, the last one. How can these problems be solved? Okay, this time, so that it will be easy, I will not let you solve the problems one by one. Just tell me a general answer so that it will not be too hard for you. Okay.
Okay.
So what do you think will be the solution for that for those problems?
Let me check. I think if the problem is easy, we can choose email.
Okay, so you just can choose email.
And or maybe we can email first and uh, email first. Talk about maybe the question, the problem, and we also think first, and then we can have an interview. So maybe it will go faster in the interview or meeting.
Okay, so you can email first, like you will have, um, you will send them an invite or you will send them a message. But if you want to talk more about the matter, then you can have or you can schedule for an interview, right?
Yes, email first, and both of us can prepare about the problem.
Okay, so prepare about the problem.
And then we can book an appointment and have an interview.
Okay, that's perfect. Appointment and have interview. Okay, so thank you for answering that one. So as you can see, you have um, a lot of ideas about what we have discussed in this part. So very good with that. Okay, so do you have any questions?
No, I want to know if we go through this is lesson unit 1. How many classes will we complete this?
Oh, how many classes will we complete in the unit 1 alone?
Yes, because I want to know before next class how many pages I need to prepare.
Oh, okay. So you want to know how many pages you will need to prepare. So don't worry about that. I think there is no certain page that we can cover in a certain class. So I think you'll just read like 2 or 3 pages, maybe. But don't you worry, because I will be helping you in understanding more about our lesson. So just just scan it, okay? Just don't pressure much yourself about studying this one, okay? Okay,
Okay.
so if there's something that you don't understand about um, the lesson that we have, or if there's something that you want to know, just tell me, okay?
Because I think if I prepare first, I don't need to take much time to think about the
Oh, I
question.
see. Yes, yes, indeed. So I suggest
Mhm.
that you can, or after this one, to where we have stopped our lesson, I suggest that you can read like 2 or 3 pages, like study 2 or 3 pages, okay? Okay,
Mhm.
so for this part, I'll give you a very good. Okay, so I will just put it here. Okay, so I don't think that, or yeah, okay, I can drag it down. hmm Okay, so in this part, do you have any questions?
No.
No questions. So anyway, let us go to the vocabulary part of our lesson. We have about good communicators, still about good communicators. Now we have words below and there are questions above. First, which word below apply to good communicators? Which apply to bad communicators? Okay, so I think that the words here are not that easy, right? Yes. Okay, so what are the words that you find difficult?
Mm, the first one,
Articulate, I
second,
think.
uh,
hmm
focus and extrovert.
Fluent, I think fluent, you already know the word fluent, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we will have the word articulate.
And the second one,
Okay, so this one, coherent.
expressing or able to express things easily
Okay,
and
so
clear.
as I put the meanings of those words down, just think
Mhm.
of what will be your answer with this question.
Mhm. Eloquent. Is eloquent good or bad?
Um, Pardon?
The word eloquent.
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 Eloquent. Okay, so let me put the word eloquent. So when I say eloquent, that is good because you are using a language to express ideas, opinions clearly.
So it's about good
Good,
way.
yeah, of course, good way.
Mhm.
Okay,
Focused. Focused.
focused. I think focused here doesn't have double S, so just remove
Mhm.
that one. Okay, I will just put the word focused. Okay, so when you are focused, you're giving a lot of attention.
Coherent. Coherent.
Okay, and next one we have hesitant.
Hesitant. Mm. Mm.
Okay, so hesitant means that you are or you do not do something immediately. because you're nervous. Okay, and we have also here inhibited. Okay. Oh, I can see that. Oh, that's so sad. The time is very fast. Oh, I really would like to continue the class, but I have another class with you. Okay. But don't you worry about that because we will have another class with your next scheduling me, right? Okay, so we will discuss more about these words that we have, okay? Okay, so also don't you worry because you are very good. I can see that you're very good with your pronunciation with most of the words, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so just practice more in expressing your questions. Okay, so that you are expressing your questions more clearly. Okay, so that I will be able to answer them right away. Okay? Okay, so also just practice with the corrections that I had with you earlier. And yeah, that's all. So this time, thank you very much for your time and see you once again in our next class. Goodbye, Sandy.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.